为什么中国人会说谈恋爱 discuss， 我们英文用 fall in love 就很浪漫啊，你们怎么都在开会啊，谈恋爱啊。
In China, they don't call it falling in love. Love, in the sense of talking about it, is in terms of material possessions like house, cars, or where do you work, not things like dessert preferences or favorite pastimes. This video captures a typical scene in large Chinese parks in different cities, dating fairs where marriage seekers' stats are scribbled on cardboard like resumes.
这个是小烈油果，是狗肉，它是只有你的，
只有你太大了，大了，它13的。
Parents and grandparents line up their kids as if it's a Pokemon battle, shopping for the perfect match. And lately, more women than men show up, especially those over 30, as they're considered leftover women by their age and by society's obsession with deadlines. The reality of marriage in China is about the men finding a baby maker and the women finding a cash cow. Dating apps dominate the West. In China, a portion of the population sticks to these good old meetings where they get to discuss some very upfront and very realistic ideas around their marriage. The goal is to fulfill an obligation to their parents and, I guess, to society to get married. The vibe here is purely transactional. This video is typical in China.
话，那你是做什么的呢？
我在这边做点小买卖。
一年年薪有多少？
年薪没多少，
没多少，够花是多少？100万有吗？
你有啥要求吗
？100万有吗？
没有。
100万都没有？有房有车吗？
没有。
那你一个月能赚几万啊？
Questions like, what is your job? How much do you make? Do you got a car, got a house? They dominate the questions during dating. Less about connections, it's more about cataloging assets. And more than half of these unions, they don't last, simply because, well, marriage in China isn't a bond. It's really a deal. Take this clip. A man meets a girl for a date. She hands him a red envelope at the end. He opens it expecting cash or a sweet gesture. Nope, it's a bill. A written demand for 188,000 yuan, about 26,000 US dollars, which is payable to the family of the bride. This is called a bride price. It's a traditional ask from the bride's family in order for them to marry off their daughter. And it's supposed to be something that secures the financial agreement in a marriage. And it's very typical to be asked this in China. So I've recently did a video covering this. I suggest you check it out for that specific portion breaking down the bride price. But today we're talking more about the marriage and divorce situation. So when cash is at the cornerstone of the talk, well, doesn't it scream transaction way louder than love? It's interesting because lately in China, foreign women from Russia, from Germany, or Belarus show up in these dating corners in parks, and essentially, you know, they have their paper cardboard, but they're not asking for things like bride price, which is a very fundamentally different view of marriage or pre-marriage compared to what the Chinese women want. As if the crashing economy and the overburden of societal pressure wasn't enough, the core battery of any society, its population, well, in China, it's now struggling to meet the ideas of getting married, having kids, and then staying married. Inside China's marriage bureaus, the lines tell a grim story. More couples queue up to divorce than to tie the knot. Check out this footage from Chinese New Year this year. People rushing to end their marriages. Last year, only about 6.106 million couples registered to wed, which is the lowest in nearly 40 years. And by comparison, about 2.621 million consensual divorces hit the books. Think quick, mutual splits like in these videos. Now, if we add in the litigated cases, court-based divorces based on the 2023 trend, you're looking at about 3.64 million total divorces. So that works out to be about 60% divorce rate. Getting divorced just as fast as getting hitched. Now, in big cities like Shanghai, you apparently have to line up and get appointments for your divorce date. Yeah, it's that popular. The question is, why bother getting married in the first place in China if you're going to end up divorcing, right? Well, it's really not a choice, it's an obligation, and it's also a transaction. So if you think of it like that, it's really not about the love or the attraction that puts two people together. It's more like two magnets attracted to each other but for very, very materialistic and physical reasons. And it's transactional, so survival trumps sentiments. Now, reports vary, but it goes anywhere from 70 to 90% of the divorces are initiated by women, and the top reason being, well, financial problems or lack of money. I'm not saying that women can't ask for money, right? The security matters in a marriage, and so does how your quality of life is. And these are very standard things. But my point is that it's a big deal in China to the point where there's a societal trend to say that if you don't meet these physical requirements, or if you're trying to get there, like you're working on it as a man, well, you simply do not fit my requirements, and therefore you're automatically rejected before we even get to know each other. In a society where stability isn't guaranteed, having those prerequisites, those A, B's, and C's up front, almost feels like a job interview rather than a marriage, which, seems twisted, but that's just how it is, right? Hypermaterialism, and so you must have what it takes. Now, obviously, other reasons. First, we have societal pressure, like I mentioned. People who aren't getting married because they can't afford to, so there's a decline in the rate of marriage. And then skyrocketing costs, making wedding itself or just marriage itself a luxury. But then you also have the second reason, which is, well, there's a lot of problems, right? It's common to deal with the in-laws after your marriage. You have husbands clashing with their wives' in-laws. You got wives sparring with, his. So it's the friction that piles up, and it's pretty ridiculous.
种是我的吗？啊？他的金子，他是生什么就生什么，没儿子就赶我走，是不是？什么家庭啊？没儿子就赶我走。
There's some wild stuff out there. Can't have a son, divorce, wife's family brawling with the husband's family because of some problems, divorce. In this clip, a woman's ex-in-laws refused to leave her house after they split with the son. Her property, it's messy. The women often, they get the short end of the stick. So it really makes you wonder if, before marriage, seeking the car, the house, and the income was really worth it over getting to know somebody and really getting to know their family as well. Now, there was a famous Chinese dating show moment back in the days. A guy asks,
愿不愿意经常陪我一块儿骑单车？来，马座开始。
我还是坐在宝马里哭吧。
That line sent shockwaves across China, just exposing how materialistic people have become, right? But it also speaks of, because unlike in the West, where you have those typical stereotypes around gold diggers, or you have the ultra rich, like billionaires who get married, right? Obviously, when they divorce, the prenups and things like that. In China, it permeates through all levels of society. It doesn't matter if you're making 3,000 a month or 10,000 a month. The same mentality exists across all spectrums. Like I mentioned, you can't just be a working on it guy. You have to be a guy that's set with a house, car, and income before you can really attract your mate. So growth takes a backseat over security. And again, like I mentioned, nothing wrong with wanting stability, right? Especially in a cutthroat society, there's things that you have to get because that's the instinct of survival, right? You want to have those things. So all-in-one packages, it doesn't reward trying men and women, it rewards established ones.
长大了想干什么呀？
我长大想当一个富豪，找一个好看的大美女。我长大了想弄一个有钱人，要一个大美女。我长大了想当一个大老板。我长大了想当一个明星。我长大了，我想找一个有钱的老公。
Now, in this video, kids echo it, right? You need money to even get started. Women, they're taught to look for these things when they're younger too. And for a while, because of the one-child policy, women were seen as the crown jewels while men were seen as a dime a dozen. And so it really doesn't help with that discrepancy of the gender as well. And so when marriage is a transaction, what you're looking at essentially is when you say I do, is it I do because he has a house and a car, or is it I do because I love him? And those kind of things, a lot of them, when the financial side of things start to fester with discontent, well, that obviously leads to divorce. It's not that the Western divorces happen not because of money, but it's that there's some twists within the Chinese society that really fundamentally changes how things are. So over time, women want too much from men, and men can't achieve them in these financial situations. And that's pretty much it. All right, thanks so much for watching this episode on China's divorces and marriage rates. If you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts on this topic. Love to hear what your thoughts are, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. All right, until next time, bye-bye.